Okay, I'm just going to wait a few minutes while people pop on. People were looking for their links today. So just making sure everybody is on before we start. I jumped on a minute earlier. So drop in the chat again where you're from. And then the other thing that I would love for you to do is drop in the chat, what did you learn yesterday? Like what was your biggest aha moment so that I can know what stuck, what didn't stick, just so that we can be all on the same page. Today I'm so excited. We're going to talk about my favorite nutrition and just really do a deep dive into all things nutrition and really what to look for. And, we'll do the best we can. So again, with everybody popping on, I see people are starting to come in. Instagram, hello, the Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, VIPs on the Zoom chat. Just pop in again and just say hello. Let me know where you're from. And my question that I just asked, because I just started a minute early to make sure we're all on track, is what did you learn yesterday? Like, what was your biggest takeaway? Like, what stuck in your mind the most for what we discussed? Because I know I went through so much because I'm so passionate about this subject. And literally, there's toxic chemicals everywhere all around us. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Jackie. Ruth is on VIP. Hi, Instagram. Were both of you on yesterday? Jacqueline, I know you were on. Okay, you really loved that we were able to know how the whole body works together. I love that. And that's what I love about natural medicine, because it's not a pill for an ill. It's how does the whole system work together so that you can really heal deeper. So as people are still jumping in, I'm going to give a few minutes. I like to give about 5 minutes before I jump in and go with it. Those of you that are always on with me, hello. What I want to say is, every day I get calls at the clinic. When I spoke to a gentleman today who had gone to Germany to work on his toxicity levels, mold, arsenic levels, lead levels, and he wasn't getting the care that he really wanted to feel better in the US, which is so sad to me. And so we had a long discussion about what that can look like. And he felt like the doctor that he worked with prior to going to Germany was just doing all these tests and chasing diagnoses and chasing different ways, whether it's gut health or this health or that health. And the bottom line after our conversation today, he's a 52-year-old male. And the bottom line was he wasn't getting the care he needed to support him. And so when I hear stories like this, my heart just goes out and it really sinks deep, because the truth is these individuals get the care that they need to support themselves, and so really it's individualized care on all levels. And the individual had to go to Germany, but what would not work with us working together is he wanted me to bring IV therapy here from Germany and use that, which I would not do because I don't know what is in that, right? So my point in sharing this with all of you is every day I have somebody call the clinic just about, or I'm working with patients that are overloaded in toxins. And those of you that joined me yesterday, you recall when I evaluate a new patient in the clinic, I can actually see rings of toxicity in the eye. I can actually feel, we're going to talk about this today, peristalsis, the movement of the gut isn't working as well as it should. It's not doing the movement, the flexion, the stension, just kind of like this gentle movement is what the digestion tract gets to do. And so if it doesn't do that, then we end up with scenarios where we're having challenges getting rid of our stool. So remember yesterday, a brief recap, and then I want to, before I dive into nutrition, we had a great conversation on VIP yesterday, which was a really valid question, and so I want to clear that up for all of you so that you kind of understand. But really, remember from yesterday that we talked about um, the skin. So when you have skin conditions and things, there's probably challenges going on with your gut. That's the one way that we rid toxins out of our bodies. So like sweating, dry brushing, and I'll get into like suggestions down the road. But and then we also talked about the bowels, the constipation, the inability to move the bowels, those sorts of things are really can impact toxicity in the body because the bowels function is to really reabsorb nutrients. And when it can't reabsorb nutrient, when it's reabsorbing the wrong nutrients, sorry, that's what I meant to say, then you're actually almost putrefying the body and reabsorbing putrefaction if the bowels aren't functioning. I know that sounds like not nice, but that's really the truth. So I really want to be real with all of you here so you really get the importance of the foundation of the medicine. And then we talked about urination and, how we go about that, the electrolyte balance in the body, the mineral balance in the body, and the hydration levels that we really need for the body. So those, and then the liver, the great filterer, sorry, that was the last one. The great filterer was like, making sure that the liver doesn't have the sludge that it would have. So lots of times when people have hormone imbalances and things, the first thing I look at is like, how can we cleanse and move the liver? So hopefully we're all on the same page. And again, this is how it's going to go for those of you that are new, because we have so many more people on today. I'm going to speak for a few minutes. If you feel like entitled and you're like, I want to have a question and I want to post it, then go ahead and post it. And my goal is for you to actually understand the whole detox, the total body detox. Are we good? Are we so excited and ready to get going and like do a deep dive in? So the first thing I want to talk about is yesterday on VIP, we did a brief deep dive into the question was, could you explain the lymph system and where it is and how is the movement? Well, I'm adding this, but just the understanding on the lymph system, because that is so important for us to remove toxicity from the body, from the blood. So we want to move our lymph system because it's supporting and enhancing our lymphatic system is like a natural function. Okay. And it's really close to the cardiovascular system and the blood vessels. And if you actually, I encourage you, if you want to kind of learn the anatomy and the biochemistry, if you look at a picture, you're going to see the lymph flows right close to the cardiovascular system, the arterial and the venous system. So when the body is returning nutrients and getting toxicity out, the lymph system is part of our immune system. So it's so important to keep the lymph from flowing. Keep the lymph flowing. So some symptoms that you may look for is like if you have swelling in your legs, like edema, right? So that could mean that your system isn't like returning the lymph. So that's called lymphedema. So, the bloating, or, I was also explaining yesterday, another way is like, have you ever felt like your lymph nodes in your neck are swollen, or your doctor's like, oh yeah, you have a sore throat or cold, and I can feel, sorry, that's making me cough, but you can feel that the lymph system, there's lymph nodes that are swollen. That's part of your lymphatic system. So what I want to say is you're going to hear me repeat these pieces over and over again. And first of all, we know by repetition that this is how we learn things. But secondarily, I'm not making this stuff up. Like if you do these small things in your life, it's super going to help you be on the health track. So physical activity, we talked about that yesterday. When we move and we move our body, regular physical activity is one of the best ways to stimulate lymph flow, because that movement of the system and getting the blood pumping and whatnot is a great way to get the lymph flowing. I don't care if it's swimming, biking, Yoga, jumping on a mini trampoline. Some of my older patients just really don't want to work out. They'll go for walks, but the way to like get lymph going in like chemical toxic people is that jumping on the trampoline. If you're a runner, so it doesn't matter how we do it, anywhere from rebounding to walking to running to hiking, as long as we're getting our cardiovascular system stimulated, our heart stimulated and pumping, and we're getting a little bit of the heavier breathing, then we know we have stimulated the cardiovascular system, right? So guess what another one key is? Hydration. Again, half of your body weight in ounces. Drink plenty of water for the system to filter. This is going to help your lymph flow and be more fluid. I mean, how many times like you'll get off a plane and like I'm swollen here a little bit, not from lymph, but because it's a little humid out, right? So that swelling, if you put your hands in like cold water right away, your hands are going to go down. So you want to keep the lymph system flowing. We're going to talk about this today, but also a nutrient-rich, balanced diet, because we don't want to clog our body, our cells, our lymph system of all this processed junk, sugary foods, because that will decrease our lymphatic health. Another great one that we talked about yesterday, but we didn't compare it to lymph, so this is new because I didn't go into detail about lymph, is deep breathing exercises. Like, I mean, diaphragmatic, like into your lower gut, right under your breastbone, like deep. That's going to naturally like massage your thoracic duct, and that is your largest lymph vessel. That's going to help pump lymph through the system. So just that like deep breathing and getting the energy right in there. Another one is dry brushing. Again, I'm going to talk about these treatments towards the end of the 5 days, but dry brushing, if you just take a loofah brush and you dry it before you actually take a shower, long strokes towards your heart, that is believed to stimulate lymph flow. Massage, if you go get massages, and I've been trained in it, I just don't use it as much unless I need to do a focus, but lymphatic massages, like there is a specialization in learning how to bring the lymph into the body a particular way in order to get the lymph flowing. So I really suggest that should be done by a certified lymphatic massage therapist that can help you. Saunas, hot baths, Epsom salt baths. The hot saunas help open up our blood vessels. They help the blood vessels expand, and that expansion of the blood vessels can stimulate the movement of lymph. If you do hot and cold, which a lot of people are doing now, they'll get sweaty, whether it's from exercise or whether it's from a sauna, and then they'll go in a cold plunge. That opening of everything from the heat, like the blood vessels, the body, that hot, that sweating, that perspiration in the sauna, and then going into a cold plunge and that constriction, that creates a pumping action, and that will help you remove toxins. So is there any questions around that before I jump into nutrition? Like, I want to hear from you guys today. I don't want to just be here and like talk. Like, I want you to get involved. And I want to ask you a question. How many people here are sick and tired of feeling like they don't have the energy that they want to have every single day? I mean, this is like across the board. Or another thing is, if you don't have the energy and you're just not sure how to do it, please put me in the comments. My secondary question to that is, are you trying to follow somebody else's protocol that's not a practitioner and you're not getting there? Put the word follow in for me. Right? So if you are there and you are trying everything, I want to ask you, do you really know what you're struggling with? because so many people are nervous to know what they're struggling with. And that's an issue. Because if you don't get your basic labs done, or one of us doesn't help, like myself as a practitioner, to support you to remove the toxicity or know where you're at, it's a struggle. And I love all of you, and I don't want you to suffer. You can't do this by yourself. You can certainly do those basics, but if you're like that patient I talked about today, or even patients that I was doing colon hydrotherapy at the clinic today, and I was looking at what was being released and it was high acid, I knew right away they were not following the protocol that I had prescribed for them as far as nutrition. They felt a little better, but where were they using that? They were using supplements. That is not my goal. So let's briefly talk about the importance of the foundation of my medicine before I go a little deeper into detoxing the total body. Who knows what the foundation of my medicine is? Put it in the chat, because I know one of you knows. Who knows? Just like the foundation of a house, you're not going to build a house without the foundation. Come on. I know one of you knows. VIP might know. Come on. Somebody knows. No, nobody wants to take a stab. Don't be scared. It's okay. I'm just like you. It's nutrition. The foundation of your body is nutrition. And if you have too much starches and sugars in your body, it's just going to be like you rowing up a river backwards. It's just, you're just going up the river the wrong way. I want that to sink in, because what you put in your mouth and what your thoughts are matter. And that's going to help you get to wellness. So the reason why I asked that question is that's what we're going to talk about today. Nutrition is so key for detox. And what so many people want to do when they go to detox is they want to not eat. Please don't do that. God did not put us on this earth to starve our bodies, but also God did not put us on this earth to eat all this junk food that's in the grocery stores. If you want to hear my voice rise, like you're going to hear it rise, that is crap food. It's killing our children. Too much starches and sugars. Why do we have ADHD? Why do we have, so many conditions? I'm not going to throw them all out there. But when I take these little people off of starches and sugars, they get better. And they're not having colds and flus and allergies, right? So let's practice what we preach as adults. I'm assuming all of you are adults on here. If you're not, welcome. I'm happy to have you, whether you're a teenager. I don't know with the amount of you that are on here, but really, this gets to hit home for you. So tell me in the chat who knows what macronutrients are. I bet there's at least one person that's commenting in here that knows what macronutrients are. Let me know. I don't know. Is there a delay? There might be a delay. Fats, carbs, and protein. Good. Ding, ding, ding. Grace, you got it. Great. So yes, fats, carbs, and protein. And what I shared with you all yesterday that most people don't eat enough of is protein. So when we're looking at calories in, calories out, there gets to be a calorie deficit for you to lose weight. But it's not always that easy, because the hormonal response here's a scenario for you that many people hear me say. Do you know that a chicken breast and a Brewer donut, like one of those glazed donuts or whatever, Dunkin' Donuts, have the same amount of calories? I know this is not about like calories in and losing weight, but it kind of is. When you remove toxicity from your body, I tell my patients you're going to naturally lose weight. But those two items have the exact same calories. And I'm sure we all know, like we know that A piece of chicken or turkey is going to carry us a lot further than that donut that we were craving at Dunkin' Donuts or, whatever. So what I want you to think about is when you're looking at, so say you're an individual that you do really well on 1,500 calories. The first thing that I do with a patient is I say to them, we figure out what their body weight is. I weigh them. And so say you're 130 pounds. Your maximum protein, unless we're looking to lose weight, which often patients are, is going to be 100 to 130 grams. Then I drop in your fat grams, which should equal around 65 to 75. If you're trying to lose weight and you have extra fat on you, which I look at through a body impedance analysis machine, then my last makeup that we look at is carbs. And I want to share with you, my friends, that carbs are not bad. You need carbs for glucose. But many, 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 many people in our world today are eating way too many carbs. So it's not that carbs are bad. I don't want that message to be taken home, but it's a balance of those macronutrients, how your body runs. The next piece in nutrition is micronutrients. So I know you have all heard me say 12 varying types of vegetables a day, and you all go, that's too much, Dr. Donahue. I can't eat all that different kinds of vegetables. Well, guess what? Our soil isn't nutrient dense anymore, is it? It's not as dense as it used to be. So back in the day, about 15 years ago, I used to say 9 varying types of vegetables, and research came out with 12, right? Because you need those micronutrients for the body to run. Is everybody with me? Like, I know this feels so basic, but it's so important to get when you're wanting to care for yourself and you want to detox and get healthy. And so if you're trying to lose weight and do fat loss, for example, then that's the way to do it. Watch your fat intake. And remember what I said yesterday, guess where toxins love to hang out? Who can tell me? If they're fat soluble, where do they hang out? In the adipocyte cells, which are the fat cells. So as we detox, we want to, yep, Donise got it. And Donise, great. My salad has 12 veggies. So she hits it off in one meal. Right? It's not difficult. Please don't make these easy steps difficult, because they're not. They're truly not. It's when you become ill that it's now up to me to do detective work. I feel like a private investigator figuring out, where is Grace off? Where's Jacqueline off? Sarah, Donise, like, where are you guys off? That's causing you not to feel your best, right? That's when it comes in that level. So we now know how important nutrition is, and it plays such a vital role in detoxification. So specific foods are going to help you with elimination of toxins, and they're going to support the body's natural detox process. Now, remember, we sometimes swim up the river backwards because we can't help to be around all these toxic chemicals that we're around, whether it's mold, whether it's lead, whether it's arsenic. I don't know what it is for you, right? But the key is to clean out and eat quality foods. So the first thing that I want to talk about has to do with the bowels. If you don't eat enough foods in high fiber, like vegetables and whole grains, these help bind your toxins in the digestive system, and they help you eliminate through the feces. That is one of the primary ways that your body gets rid of toxins. So here's another piece that you want to take into account. If over the years you've eaten too much sugar and too much starches, and you've gotten like a bacterial or fungal or viral infection in the gut, then we're going to use different binders to bind the gut to pull the toxicity out. So when we also talk about the digestive system and the bowel system, we have a movement called peristalsis. And I'm doing actually way too fast, but just so you can see it, it actually is probably more like this when I do cranial sacral on a patient. So that involuntary wave-like muscle movement that moves food through the stomach into the small intestines. The small intestines then decides where's all the food absorption going to happen, and then it sends it out to the colon, the bowels, if it doesn't need it, right? So it goes all the way through the esophagus down to the rectum, and this rhythmic sort of squeezing and relaxing helps break down the food. The nutrients get absorbed this way and waste materials expelled. So on a little tangent here, if you have a tremendous amount of stress and you are living in the sympathetic state and you don't know how to relax and breathe, I will promise you that your peristalsis has been affected. Or if you're putting a lot of emotions into the body, the peristalsis is affected because your vagus nerve is sympathetic, run away from that bear, and it's also calming. And it innervates every single organ, which means it connects to every single organ and it communicates through the brain and it tells the brain what to do. Remember, most of you have heard that I will say the brain doesn't know the difference about getting away from that bear or having to get your work done today because you have a deadline. It's still stress to the body. The brain doesn't know the difference. So it's so important to have this calming time for yourself, the shutdown for yourself, so that your digestion system functions appropriately. So the type of fiber that we're going to talk about right now, the fiber plays a huge role in the peristalsis movement in order to help with a healthy detox of the body. So we've got soluble and we've got insoluble fiber. So a soluble fiber means that water is actually attracted to the fiber itself, and it forms like, what do I want to say, like this gel-like sort of substance as it passes through the digestive system. This actual movement helps soften your stool, and it makes it easier to pass and helps with constipation. So hence, why do you need water, right? It also binds to cholesterols and sugars, slowing their absorption down in the blood. So this is one of the things when patients have high cholesterol. Remember, cholesterol is a sugar problem. For those of you that have been with me for a long time, it's not a fat problem. So it's going to help regulate your blood sugars and reduce cholesterol because it's going to bind to it. So some of the foods that are rich in soluble fibers are going to be like oats, barley, nuts, seeds, beans like lentils and peas, and some fruits and vegetables, but not as much. So is everybody with me so far? Okay. The second one is insoluble fiber. So I like to be funny. You guys know this because it sticks with you. So insoluble fiber acts like a broom in your digestive system. It adds bulk to your stool and it helps to move material through your digestive tract more quickly. This is going to help prevent constipation and it's going to help promote regular bowel movements. This is also crucial for detoxification, and it aids in the elimination of waste and toxins from the body. So when we look at nutrition and foods that fall into the insoluble fibers, the category I'm on, we're going to be looking at like whole grains, wheat bran, nuts, beans, vegetables like cauliflowers, green beans, those sorts of things. Sweet potatoes could fall in there as well. So it's so important to have 15 grams of fiber in the morning and 15 grams of fiber in the evening. When I take people off of grains, not greens, because some people I think like hear me say greens and I say grains. When I take them off grains because they may have an autoimmune condition or maybe we're fighting a candida or something in that avenue, I am not putting you on a low fiber diet. However, you're getting your fiber from your vegetables. When patients say, Dr. Donnie, you have me on a low carb diet. No, I don't. I have you on a high carb diet always until I know. The only high carb diet, which of course back in the day it was never called this, but now it is called, is ketogenic diet. And I really only use it to like pop into the metabolism and maybe get people to lose some weight a little bit, and then we switch back over. But long term, or it does have success in some Asperger's patients, and it also has success in cancer patients, because I take all cancer patients off sugars and starches because cancer loves sugar and starch. So any questions popping up? Any questions? How many of you are really, really aware of what you're eating and make this like sleep? Nutrition should be just as important as sleep. And if you're not sleeping well, it could be what you're eating and what you're thinking as well, because your brain is connected to your gut, which I've done several courses on that. Okay, we've got one. Denise is totally watching what she's doing in nutrition every day. Who else? Anybody? No. So if you're with me today and you're new to me, because I have a lot more on today, then I want you to really think about the importance of nutrition for yourself. I really want you to know that the nutrition is your foundation. And again, I am never telling people to not eat when we're detoxing. Water fast is a whole nother thing that I'm not going to go over here. It is valuable, but I'm not going to go over it here. Water is another key to nutrition. How many times do I say hydration? We talked about it earlier, but it helps in the detox. It helps flush out toxins and waste products out of the body, right? Nutrient-rich foods. So all of your vitamins and minerals and antioxidants are found in your nutrient-dense foods. If your grandmother ate it, eat it. If your grandmother ate it, I would say eat it. Like, I remember somebody came into my kitchen. I can't remember how long ago it was. It was a dear friend of mine. And she said, can I open your cabinet and like look in your refrigerator and like see what you eat? And I said, sure, absolutely. And so she started looking. She's like, you don't have any boxed foods. I'm like, no. And she said, well, where do you get all your food? And I'm like, fruits, vegetables, protein, oils. I have oils in containers. I do have like unsweetened ketchup, and I do have like mustard, and I have like all different kinds of oils, all different kinds of vinegars. But right, I just never really thought of it because I have been so anal about it my whole life because I was so sick and I was so depressed. How many people have been so sick that they just don't want to be sick anymore? That's how I was, and that's how I got into this medicine. So really, my target for you today, I gave you homework yesterday, but I'm going to keep going. But I want you to start looking in your cabinets. Love that, Grace. I have cleaned out all the junk food in my house. Perfect. However, make sure you're eating enough proteins and fats and quality carbohydrates, because your brain is going to tell you, hey, Grace, like it's time to have that sugar that you got rid of. I was addicted to sugar a long time ago, and I played games with it. I'm just like you. I am no different. And a friend of mine I was talking to yesterday, who's also doing 75 hard with me, said, you know, I think I want to keep going. I want to take a week off. Will you keep going with this with me? And I thought, I don't know. And so then she's like, I want to stop for a week so that I can have all this food that I looked at on this text that didn't even sound like food to me. Not her fault, but she's like, she wanted a hamburger. She wanted some sort of creme brulee. She wanted a beer. I don't know what she wanted. And I looked at it, and it's really funny when you don't eat these foods. I looked at it and I texted her back and I said, this doesn't even look like food to me. Like, I have not drank alcohol for 8 years by choice. I didn't have a problem, but I started to realize acetaldehyde on the liver, the toxicity of wine just isn't what I wanted. I mean, I'd have a glass of wine. It's not bad for you, but I just chose. And I've been 11 and a half years without eating sugar. And I have so many people say to me, oh my gosh, you look like you're 30 or so. I'm in my 50s. So when you eat well, we have all these anti-aging products out there, but when you eat well, that's anti-aging. When you balance your hormones, just like they talk about in fertility, that's anti-aging. Sorry, guys, I got off on a little tangent. Hopefully that gave you some support. But like when we take care of our body, that's how we don't age. Sugar is like going to send you down that aging track as quickly as you can go. If you're not planning your meals, you should be planning your meals like you plan your kids' soccer games, like you plan your calendar, like you plan to get up in the morning and work out and take a shower. Meal prep is 100%. And if you need support around that, I have meal prep freebies, and I also have a Learn to Eat Clean and Healthy on my site that can help you get rid of and move you through programs that I use in the clinic all the time. All right, so let's get back to my nutrient-rich foods, right? So for instance, like B vitamins and vitamin C. Vitamin C is going to be found in like bell peppers and citrus fruits. And vitamin C just has so many amazing, values in the body. I just can't list it all, but what most of you know is it helps the immune system, but it does so much more. Glutathione is something that we talk about and I do glutathione IVs in patients to help remove toxicity. But it actually helps you get rid of your oxidants, your free radicals in your body. So those are found in garlic and spinach and avocados. So all of these nutrient-dense foods that I just talked about, like you need B vitamins, you need B12 in your digestive tract. I'm always shocked when I test B12 on patients and they're low. I'm like, how have you been digesting all these years? Because you need B12 in the stomach. So that is why it's so important to do like what Denise was saying, like 12 varying types of vegetables in your salad. I do that in my salad, and then I do 3 or 4 veggies at night, and then that will hit my quota. And then sometimes if I don't do any grains at all because it just doesn't work for me. I'm a Hashimoto's survivor back in the day, so I never want to throw another marker. That's thyroiditis. But so I don't do grains because I feel best that way. So if I do eggs with veggies in it in the morning, or I do a quiche that doesn't have a crust, I call it a crustless quiche, then I get veggies in the morning as well. So just be aware of where your nutrients are coming from. Protein. A, it satiates you. B, you need it for your amino acid buildup in your DNA in your body. And like I said yesterday, many people are not eating enough protein. We've already talked about this, and I'm just going to keep hitting it so you guys get it, right? I have aging parents right now, and watching them not being able to sit up and stand up and sit down and easily, that's all muscle mass. Your body will begin to eat the muscle for the protein it needs if you don't give it enough protein. Gross, right? But it's true. It's 100% true. You need that protein for your DNA. And you also need it for detoxification in the liver. So the protein helps you assist the breakdown of toxins and remove them from the body. My other favorite one is fat does not make you fat, healthy fats. So foods and healthy fats like wild-caught salmon, halibut, avocados, sardines in water, raw olive oil. Do not cook with olive oil. It's a carcinogen. Use other options for cooking. They actually help, these quality healthy fats help you absorb fat-soluble toxins and move them out of the body. Probiotics and prebiotics. So the probiotics are found in fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi. They're beneficial bacteria. Remember, we talked yesterday about the quality of the bacteria in the gut, the good neighbors, the bad neighbors. The bad neighbors, you want the good neighbors to overabundant and push out the bad neighbors, because that's what's going to create gut health. Your beneficial bacteria, not your unfriendly bacteria. So when you're eating the right foods during a detox, you are supporting everything that we just talked about. You're supporting the body's natural detox. So if you listen closely, If you do this every day, your body is going to naturally detox itself. Wow, God was amazing, right? Like he set up a system. You eat the right foods, you're not going to have that putrefaction in the gut. You're not going to have that overabundance of garbage. You're going to keep your body as clean as possible. And then you're going to start to be aware of what's coming in around you for toxins. Do I have everybody with me? Everybody with me? Drop yes. Have I lost anybody? No, more people have come on. Let's see. Let me answer some questions. We cook with beef tallow. Great. That's totally fine. Is organic acai berry powder okay in your opinion? Is source of yeah. So any of the berries, Donise, are great. Strawberries, blueberries, acai berries, cherries. Now everything that I just listed is very red and blue, right? So those are great antioxidant foods, and you want to put those into your nutrition. Here is one piece that can be challenging because the way that we're taught to eat, but would be beneficial for you if you can do it. At times I do really well with it. And sometimes, again, I'm like you, I mess up. If you can eat your berries or your fruits that are antioxidants and things completely away from any other foods, that's the best way to do it because of the way your acid and subacid is for the fruits and the sugars. I do eat, that's where I got my sugars in from, like starchy vegetables. Starchy vegetables would be like avocados, carrots, green peas, winter squashes, things like that. Yet you can do it in a smoothie. If you do it in a smoothie, let me think about this for a second. If you do acai berry in a smoothie, are you using water or are you using a nut? I think that this is when it's going to just get pretty anal, really. Denise, it's not really specific, but it's going to be great. But if you're actually eating the berry, then I would eat it separately. But it sounds like you're doing a powder. Okay, coconut water. Perfect. Yeah. So if you're going to put it in almond milk or nuts or something, that's going to be a different acid. So yeah, coconut water is great. So just kind of be aware of what we call food combining. So when I work with patients, because we don't want to overload the digestion, I suggest protein and vegetables or starch and vegetables. And so many people are like, can I have eggs on toast? We have found that eggs with a toast or grain bread, quality grain bread seems to be okay. So that's where it breaks the rule, the rule a little bit. But, and then I always suggest you don't drink liquids when you eat. You actually drink your water and things before you eat. And that's so foreign to people. Like when I go to people's houses or I go out, they're like, hey, do you want something to drink with your meal? Like I don't drink with my meal. I drink before my meal or I drink like 40, 45 minutes after. And of course, unless I choke or something, right? But because let me explain that really quickly. When you liquefy your nutrients, you're not getting as good quality. You're liquefying your digestive enzymes and they don't work as well. Does that make sense? So that's why you really want to like drink water or liquids or something before and then after your meal. Okay, I think we're all on track here. So some of the other foods that we want to talk about, which I kind of just did, is vegetables and fruits. So they're where your micronutrients are coming in and antioxidants, like Denise asked about the berries. They're high in vitamins and minerals, fiber, and antioxidants, and they all aid in detoxification. So that's why you hear so many of us, and it's studied and researched as well, is you want to do varying types of colors of vegetables so that you get all your different nutrients in. So when you look at your plate, look at all your different colors that you have of vegetables, and that's a way to get them in. Or like I mentioned, have your fruit first. Protein, we already talked about. The piece with eating non-toxic protein is you want to look at grass-fed, organic, moving in the farm, knowing your farmer, if they're the ones that are actually you're getting your foods from. the more toxic animals, and it's not their fault, is unfortunately the way they're slaughtered and the way they're cared for. I don't even love this subject because it makes me feel sick to my stomach, like it really does. But if you know your farmer and you know your food, then you know where it's coming from. And that is like the best way to know is if there's chemicals in it or not. Like right before I jumped on this live, I ran to my CSA for lunch and I grabbed what my CSA, the vegetables that they had that were grown now. So I do community supported agriculture where I support a local farm. I give them $400 and we get 20% above and beyond back, almost $500 worth of food. And each week we go and pick our food based on like what we want. So that would be another great way to give back. I try to do all these little things to give back. To me, that's my donation and supporting, because honestly, running 3 businesses like I do, working with patients, I would love to be able to garden, but it's just not in my cards right now because I get to heal all of you. Whole grains we talked about. Those are going to be like quinoas and oats and barleys. They're high in fiber. Again, they're going to help you aid in the digestion and help you eliminate toxins. Healthy fats. I already talked about healthy fats, right? Yeah, I already talked about healthy fats. Water and herbal teas. So herbal teas can be very detoxifying. So like dandelion root, not leaf, but root, I use in my herbal detox blend. So when you actually go through my detox program at the clinic with all the nutrients, and I've actually written a detox book. So some of you got 4 reasons, 4 ways to detox, I think is 4 lessons on how to detox, or maybe actually you can get it on the site. Sorry, only the VIP got they get the handouts. That's part of like being a VIP afterwards. But herbal teas like dandelion or green tea is a great antioxidant tea. A nutrient tea would be like hibiscus. It's very mineral, especially in the warm weather right now. Those all help support detoxification. So when people join my program to actually go through the whole detoxification program with my book and things that I wrote, I have created my own herbal detox tea, which comes included in the process. But, I make teas. Most of you probably don't know this, but I make teas specifically for patients and tinctures. So that's part of my love. That's where herbal medicine really comes in. So food, and I would prefer that over supplements. Any of your herbs and spices like gingers and garlics and cilantro is a great detoxifier. Parsley, they all have detoxifying properties for the body. So remember, it's not about what you eat. It's also about what you don't eat. So what am I going to say? Avoid processed sugary foods. Like when I put people on a cleanse, like no alcohol for 28 days. You want to watch your caffeine. That can inhibit the natural detox process. So always like consult somebody before you start this. And remember, one of the things that we talked about yesterday is you don't want to go about a detox program if you're exhausted. Because the truth is that we want to build your body up. So, now I want to talk about, I'm going to drop some detox friendly recipes in the chat. Instagram, I'm sorry I can't get them to you, but these are just some recipes that I give to my patients, and you're 100% open to grab them. So the first one that I do with patients is a green detox smoothie. So again, it's not going to follow the food combining piece, because sometimes patients, I can't do that. If I tell them to just do spinach, almond milk, chia seeds, and a little bit of honey, forget it. They're just not going to do it. So that should say a half a banana. 1 banana is way too much sugar for you. And I actually wouldn't even add the honey in. But a lot of my patients want that little bit of sweetness, but that is going to give you a really good kick to your day. The other thing that you could add to this is you could add a protein powder, and that will help you with your protein intake. Here's another one. This is one of my favorites. I don't eat quinoa anymore, but I make it for a lot of parties. I type this out, or a lot of cookouts and things. So this is quinoa salad. Quinoa, for many of you that don't know this, is the grain that has the highest amount of protein in it. So there's a quinoa salad with lemon vinaigrette. And feel free to cut and paste this. If you can't for some reason, then just let us know. I know we're willing to get that to you. Another one that I love is ginger and turmeric tea. And again, I would probably take out the honey, but most of my patients are going to add it anyway. So when I created it, I added honey. If you're an O, I don't give you honey. I'm an O blood type, and I don't give you maple syrup. You got to be really careful as an O blood type with sugars. So that's like a really great digestive tea. For those of you that know anything about turmeric, it's fantastic anti-inflammatory. It's great for the brain. If you fall or you hurt yourself, it can also, at higher doses, it can help you with pain and inflammation. So, but know the source of where your turmeric is coming from. This and green tea, two of these, you've got to be careful, because everybody's trying to get on the natural wellness bandwagon and they want to make money, and it's not quality. So always ask where these are coming from. I don't know allulose. Donis asked about allulose. Now that looks like a sugar alcohol. I'm sorry, I don't know that. I know a lot of people use liquid stevia. I'd have to look that up, and I'm happy to do that and get back to you tomorrow on it. If you give me some time, I'm happy to look that up for you. So, see, I don't know everything. People know a lot of things that I don't know, even though I do this day in and day out. And I do know Donice is 100% into nutrition, and I just love that. Love that. Love that. Absolutely. So here's a salmon fillet. Remember, again, you want to get quality, wild, non-injected with antibiotics salmon. So that's super easy to do. Some salmon, some lemon. Are these recipes helpful, or are you guys, can you just type in yes? I've got a couple more, but if they're not helpful and it's not interesting to you, then just let me know. Then I will close up and journey on. Just let me know. Or is this helpful? Okay, perfect. I'll keep going then. I got a couple more, maybe one or two more. So Detox lentil soup is another one of my favorites that I actually make for our family a lot. So, you know, it's got garlic in it. It's got celery, carrots, onions, green lentils. And then I always make my own vegetable and beef broths. A lot of people don't, but I prefer to make my own, and they're super simple. Okay, allulose is plant-based. Thank you from the VIP. So I will look that up. So beet and berry smoothie ingredients. Here's my last one. Here's a really good antioxidant. Here's a really good antioxidant beet and berry smoothie. Sorry, I lost my tongue for a second. Again, see, sometimes it's difficult to make recipes. That's not going to actually follow the food combining, right? So we all do the best we can. If you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'll try to send out the recordings again so that you guys all get them. I forgot to do that yesterday. My bad. So let's sum up today and move on. So what I want you to think about again is where you're getting your foods, the importance of where your foods are being grown, that they're organic, that they're quality, you know, and sometimes just because they say they're organic, they're not. And that's why I prefer to go to farms, so that I know my farmers when I can. In the winter months in the Northeast, we have snow and whatnot, so I have to depend on other sources. So if we look at organic foods and we know where our sources is, then they are grown without, hopefully, the use of pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers. So all of these chemicals can build up in your body over time and create a toxic load. So if you're constantly intaking these types of foods that aren't organic, that aren't grass fed, or that's pumped up with all these antibiotics, you can imagine all the things that we've gone over, that over time, this can like overload our toxins in our body. So we want to minimize our toxin load because, right, there's so many things out there that we just can't take care of. But what we can take care of is what goes in. Like, I am 100% anal of knowing where my food is. Higher nutrient content foods, that's a no-brainer because they're going to have better nutrition than conventionally grown food if you get organic. We definitely need more research here, but it's possible that you may be getting more nutrients in organic foods that are important for detoxifying the total body, like antioxidants and stuff. But we don't actually see the truth is that we don't have a lot of money to do research with foods, right? Because we've got some things that aren't going our way, but I won't get into that. And you guys can all grab the hint to that messaging, right? That's the disruptor part of me. No antibiotics and hormones. Please be aware your proteins in your meats, where you're getting them from, where the animals are from. I just mentioned it. So these substances can increase your toxic burden again. GMO means genetically modified organisms. Hopefully this isn't allowed in organic farming. One thing like I have a urge against is, why does canola oil have organic on it? It's two plants put together, makes a beautiful yellow flower. It's Canadian oil. It can't be organic. I know the growers, I've asked them, but yet we put organic on canola oil. Don't use canola oil. It's not real. So choose organic whenever you can. And then we talked about yesterday what containers you buying them in. If you're buying, like, I always buy ketchup in glass. I always buy my oils in glass. Be aware of where, like, if you are buying foods that are made, what are they in, right? So if cost is an issue, we talked about going to the Environmental Working Group, EWG.org, about the Dirty Dozen. Those are the foods that are most contaminated with pesticides. And so those are like strawberries, spinach, kale, apples, grapes, peaches, cranberries, tomatoes, celeries, and potatoes. I think that's where we're at now. Sorry, it keeps changing. It used to be the Dirty Dozen, but I think there's now 15. So again, if you are on a budget, then just make sure those that I just talked about are where your organic is coming from. Yeah. I think that's really, really it. Like, when you're eating quality food and you're not overloading the body, which is what I wanted to hit home today, and you're getting in your macronutrients with your protein, fats, and carbs, and your micronutrients are coming in through vegetables, and you're supporting the pathways in your body, that is the best thing that you can do. So I'm going to open it up to questions. I went right to the clicker today. Are there any questions that I can answer anywhere? Or what's even coming up for people? Like, were you aware that this was all happening around us, that our foods were like being slaughtered inappropriately, that we're pumping up like hormones in all of our foods? Like, when I talk about this, some people look at me like deer in the headlights, like they've never heard it before. And I'm like, wow, I don't know that I know what I know until I start sharing. And that's why I love doing these lives. That's why I love showing up for you guys, because at the end of the day, if you can make these tiny tweaks, I can't remember who was it. Was it Grace? Remind me who threw out everything in their cabinet. I'm trying to go back in the, oh, I don't know. There's too many people, but somebody cleaned out their whole cabinet. Oh, Grace. Yeah, I remember it. I have a good memory. See, I eat really good foods and fats. So, get rid of the junk. Start to leave towards something that you can do starting right now. This is my goal after I do these lives. What's like 2 things that you can change a habit? I don't care. You can say 30 days, 60 days, 90 days for the rest of your life. Is it drinking water? Love that, Denise. Like, she's 72 years old. She's been eating organic for decades. She feels great. I think she mentioned yesterday she has no body aches and pains. Sounds like she doesn't eat too much sugars. Her sugars probably come from fruits. Like, there's people like her and I that are out there that are doing this. The challenge is when you get out into that external environment, I'm going to call it like it is, and you get out to dinner with friends and they're having their alcohol and their fun and their desserts, and your brain's like, oh my gosh, I would love that. No, I wouldn't. And I used to do it. Like, I would love that piece of chocolate cake. No, I don't need it. Okay, I'll just have a bite. No, I don't need it. My brain would play that game. Like, it would. No, okay, like, I'll just have a little bit of it. And then, but before I knew it, the whole cake was gone. Like, the whole piece. And the truth is because my body craved it, because it was living on sugars way back in the day. Even when I got super healthy, back when I was 25, I played a little bit at 30. And I was like, how can I sneak just a little bit in? And I couldn't. Now I have amazing energy and I get to lead all of you in this. Like, wouldn't you love this in your back pocket every single day? Someone being like, okay, what are you doing? Like, what's your mindset today? Because if you don't have the foundation of foods in your body, you can't heal. I say this to patients before they come in. I have a brief conversation to them. Even if when I do a discovery call for Simple Health, I say, if you're really not interested in changing your foods, then I'm probably not the right practitioner. Because that's the foundation of our medicine. That is what God put us on this earth. He grew all of our vegetables, and how we got so far away from this, I know, but I'm not going to go there. Because at the end of the day, the fact that you are all showing up, I'm super grateful for you. I am. Like, honestly, you can't see, but it brings tears to my eyes, because this tells me that you want to heal. You want to learn. I've seen many of you all on my lives before. There's all different ways to connect and work with me, but there's also ways to do it so that you can make tweaks until you're ready. Sometimes it takes people 3-4 months before they really want to do a deep dive with me, and that's okay. I have no judgment. Because when you're like not sleeping, you're not eating well, you can't get out of bed, you're angry, you're agitated, I don't know what the emotion is. Your body's not doing its normal detox process. Sorry, I feel like I'm yelling, but it's just, I'm passionate about it. I'm yelling with love. I am yelling with love. So tomorrow, because I don't see any questions across the board, VIP, don't hang up. Tomorrow, I am going to talk about how can we boost the detox process. And you're going to see that a lot of these pieces that I'm talking about on each subject, and if you're unsure the subject I'm going to talk about, in your email that said, congratulations, you're in, with your links to get into chat with me today and show up for me today, there is a 5-day handout. And that's what I put together so that you guys could do that as a checklist so that you can go back and look at that. So did I answer everybody's questions around what you're struggling with food, what makes sense for you to eat for food. Like, are there any questions before I go and I move over to VIP? Anybody across the board? Instagram, no comments. VIP, I can answer yours in a minute, so don't hang up. All right, you guys, I want you, or you get to, for you, not for me, because at the end of the day, I want to see you feel your best. I want to see you live your best life. And I am not just saying that because I've been where you were. I'm just grateful that I healed. I would like you to take one thing. Hopefully, you took notes again. I didn't tell you to pull out your journals today because I thought you would anyway. I want you to maybe try one recipe, which you can go back in the notes and grab it. Or I want you to make one habit change. And I'm going to ask you tomorrow. And I want you to write it down, because when you write it down, there's something about that brain hand coordination connection that actually allows you to actually follow through. Like, I don't like typing chart notes. I don't like it when they made me go electronic medical records. Because when I used to write notes out, I remembered what treatment plan I used. I remembered what herb that worked. Now I'm like, oh, who is that patient? What was that patient's name? How old was that patient? What herb did I use again? What was the diagnosis? Like, it's just super frustrating. So if you write it down and you sticker it somewhere and you're like, drink more water, breathe more, Epsom salt baths a couple times a week. I don't know what it is, but don't make it difficult, because these small habits that you create every day, I'm sure Donise and I did not do this overnight. It took us time. But the time that you do it now, the better you're going to feel as you age. All right. I love you guys all. Thank you for joining. Bring your questions tomorrow. I am here for you. I honestly love you. I pray blessings and healings to each one of you. And I will see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, ready to rock and roll. I try to jump on a couple minutes early like I did so that we can get people going. And I'm just grateful for each and every one of you. So have a great afternoon or an evening, depending where you are in this world. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. Bye, guys.